Alright, so we've touched on these bullet points. Now I'm doing a follow-up video on the secrets of saddle fitting the horse industry doesn't want you to know. Because there's a lot. So we've touched on all of these, what the seat is, the gullet height, especially those two, the bar, and all the parts of the bar. So if you are seeing this video second, please refer to the first video I'm doing on this, because that's going to give you the best information for what we're talking about. And it talks on the back gullet and some on the rigging. So to put this into a little bit clearer perspective, so it's a little bit more relatable, I have my saddles right here. So remember when we were talking about the bar, how this awkward looking shaped thingamabobber with the rock and the twist, even though that's a weird looking shape, if you look right down here, guess what? Here is that bar with that butterfly looking shape. Pretty cool and relatable. Now, if you notice, the angle's very flat through here, but then as you cut underneath the seat, then you start having that twist. So it's very smooth twist, very to the front, and then towards the front it starts to flare out. So you can see where it flares out, where it starts to meet the floor. See? All hunky-dory right there. It doesn't have, well, this saddle is actually a 7-inch gullet on a semi-quarter horse bar. Now because it's got a semi-quarter horse bar, it's going to fit a lot more horses. And having it be a wider gullet will allow me to put a thicker pad underneath if the horse is not quite that wide. So I've got the angle that'll fit most horses, but I've got it at a distance that'll fit wide horses as well as narrow horses. All I have to do is just pad up, which is really, really cool. If you can find a saddle that has semi-quarter horse bar set at a 7-inch gullet, way to go. But the only thing that they don't tell you or teach you about is the rock and the twist, or the flare. So those things you want to make sure actually fit your horse, because that's where your most saddle fitting errors are going to happen. It's going to happen here, it's going to happen here, and it's definitely going to happen in here. So when you feel the saddle, run your hand down the front of it, or down the back of it, whichever it is. Make sure it's all very, very smooth. You don't want to feel any hard ridges where it's suddenly twisted. You want to be very smooth, very gradual twist. But it should be smooth, no lumps, no bumps, because those lumps and bumps will create pressure points on your horse's back that will soar him up like you wouldn't believe. So, this saddle, again, you can kind of see the curvature of the rock there. Now this saddle really doesn't have much rock at all. But if you look a little closer, which I'm trying to angle everything around, this saddle, woo, losing the video, guys. This one, it doesn't have a whole lot of the rock, the curve, but it has a lot of flare and a lot of twist. Now this would be great on a horse that has a shorter back but might be gaited, because again the bar is nice and short, so the length is not going to dig into his loins or his shoulders, but that twist is going to allow for those very, very large shoulders to come back and rotate up into and do this thing that it does. That flare pulls away from his shoulders, so that you have more action, more room to move underneath his shoulders. You don't have any of the digging in or any of that through his loins either. So this is a great saddle to fit on a horse that has very little rock to his back or very little curvature, but has a lot of action through his shoulders. So again, this one is not going to provide that. So when you choose a saddle, make sure that those bars completely and smoothly fit the horse's back. Because without that, you're not going to fit the horse. The rigging changes up about where it ties in, where it meets the horse's shoulder. If it gets in the horse's shoulder's way, then that usually means that either you have your saddle too far forwards on the horse's back, or your rigging is placed too far forwards, and it's going to irritate the horse's shoulders and his elbows coming back. So get a saddle that has rigging in a 7/8 position, because that'll pull it back closer to your saddle seat, to where you are, instead of push so far up his shoulders that he can't move. So again, in front rigging means that the rigging is just placed further towards the front of your saddle. 7/8 is more directly towards your knees. Center fire would be like underneath your knee. I would not use a center fire saddle rigging, but 7/8 tends to fit most horses best. So again, if you can get a bar that fits your horse correctly, go with it, run with it. Sometimes what some saddle fitters have done, if the saddle tree, I'll bring this back over here, if the saddle tree is not set up correctly, sometimes your tree will be crooked and you'll have something like this going on. What they'll do, some people are cheapskates like this that want to make a quick buck. What they'll do is they'll cut the back off the bar, which then of course you don't have the cap or the flare that will match your horse's back. And you'll have a taper on this side, but a solid block chop on this side. And you'll have a block chop on the front end of your bar here, and a taper on this side. That will soar up your horse as well, even though it might look normal or balanced or straight. It's just this, but the ends have been chopped off. So pay attention to how your cantle and your swells sit on those bars, because if there is something like this going on, you'll be able to see it. You have to look close and pay attention, but make sure that this isn't going on. Make sure that it hasn't been chopped off at any point in time, just so the saddle maker can sell a product on a tree that's faulty. So that is the basics of the saddle fitting that the horse industry doesn't want you to know. I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been informative, and that you can share it. You can like, you can subscribe to this video or this channel, whatever you want to do. I just want to put out information that's good, useful, helpful, and help a horse out. But gosh, you know, we all are suffering. We all are having a hard time. So if I can help a rider out too, great. If I can help a horse out, great. So share this if you want to. I hope this has been good. So God bless, and have a good one.